All right, so right now the thing that's kind of jumping out at me is this ring finger here. It feels kind of collapsy, like it's kind of dipping down. In fact, probably both of them are dipping down a little bit too much, but it's particularly egregious here with this guy. So I'm just gonna try to decide, probably just the move brush will be fine. Just to kind of fill that in. And then there's going to be a nice ridge for that tendon there. So I'm going to make sure my Z intensity for dam standard is fairly low. And I kind of want to just build up a nice sinewy line there, holding the Alt so it goes up rather than the default behavior of down. Giving these all just kind of nice swoopy arcs there. Flatten 4R4. Just to kind of ease that sharp line down just a little bit. And I haven't really done anything at all with the wrists, which is completely reasonable up to this point because the wrists are not really all that detailed. But every part of the sculpt is as important as every other part of the sculpt. So we're going to take a quick look at what's going on with the wrist here. I need to adjust my reference. We'll zoom out. So what I'm going to end up doing here, probably these two views, well, these three here. I'm just going to go ahead and clip it. Use the clip curve brush. I'll show you that real quick. Tap the Z key. I'm going to turn perspective off here. Hold Control and Shift, and by default we've got the select lasso. So if I go to clip curve, and I hold Control and Shift, and I just click down, I'm not holding any keys down on the keyboard, I'm just holding my pen on the tablet. If I let go, nothing happens. But basically the way this works is whatever geometry is above, is like on the shaded side, if I let go here, it's going to just move all of it down to that line. So that can be pretty useful, but you can run into some issues, and I'll see if I can... I mean, it's real easy to demonstrate with a sphere. This will work. So what it's going to do is it's going to take all of this geo and it's going to squash it down to this line here, and what you'll see is because this area here is wider than this area here, what we'll end up with is like a flattened disk area around where the sculpt was, and that is definitely not what I want. So I'm going to be kind of careful here to make sure that in this case, I'm just flattening it down to the widest spot there. And if I hold the space bar, I can move it around. Again, this is not holding any keys down on the keyboard. As soon as I hold Control and Shift and drag it out, no more keys on the keyboard. I can hold space bar to move it around. Now if I wanted to add hypothetically a bend to it, I can tap the Alt button, and you get a little bit of a bend here. But we can see what the result is. Yeah, there you go. So that's totally fine if that's what you wanted. Obviously we don't want it to be a bend. We'd like a nice clean line. But if you want a sharp edge, you can double tap the Alt. So double tap will give you a sharp corner. I said edge, but I meant corner. And a single Alt tap will give you a rounded thing. So you can break it. Like if you start to do this kind of thing, it doesn't understand what side of the curve you're trying to flatten down to, and it just, it looks kind of nasty. But in this case, so it looks like we got a little bit of an overlap there, and it's really definitely not the end of the world. We just kind of want to avoid like a great big problem, but it's pretty easy to clean it up, and I'll show you how here in just a second. So we got a nice clean line. Oh, and the reason you want to turn perspective off, let me turn perspective back on, is it'll actually cut your perspective in and you'll get like an angled line rather than a straight line. I mean, it's still a straight cut, it's just not actually the line that you specifically requested. So anyway, that is clip curve. Again, just hold Control and Shift. It's in the same menu as your select lasso. And I'm going to go ahead at this point and grab my clay tubes brush. And what you can see is if you kind of go around, like because there's a bunch of geometry there, it's probably going to be like you'll get a little bit of artifacting in your stroke. So this is one of those situations where it's actually pretty nice to recalculate the Dynamesh. I'm not going to do that just quite yet because it's not necessary. We still have plenty of other sculpting to do here. All right, so this is basically that. So I'm going to rotate us around here, grab my clay tubes brush. So we've got a little bit of a... so I guess hold on. This is always a red flag here. I'm going to hit cancel. So what it's saying is you're about to undo 38 history entries, which means I'm about to undo. If I do anything else, if I hit OK, I'm going to lose some undo history. So I'm going to hit cancel here. And, oh, so I basically just undid all that stuff, which I actually do want to undo. So no big deal there. But whenever you're about to mark something, because it's really easy to just like click anywhere on your undo bar here and undo a lot of work. So hopefully you save incrementally and it's not a big deal if worst case scenario you do happen to delete your undo history. But in this case, I'm going to say, yeah, that's totally cool. I'm doing it on purpose. It's just ZBrush doing what it can to try to save you from what might be an accident. So whenever you get a little error from ZBrush, they do not warn you about things that are not worth paying attention to, generally speaking. So I can see I have like a little bit of a recessed area there. Come in with flatten brush. Same deal over here. And it may be that I get up here and like I'm probably going to ding up this edge here. It's not a big deal. You can always cut it back in or clean it up or whatever you want to do. It's just kind of a nice idea to know, or nice to know where you're going to stop worrying about it. So that's why I went ahead and did that clip operation. I think the top here is probably, it needs to be a little bit flatter than this. So I'm going to use clay tubes and we'll just pave down this area here at the top of the arm. Kind of get an understanding of what that looks like, which is probably way too round. And again, it might be a little bit tricky to tell exactly what's going on from the reference, but you do have hopefully at least one of these attached to your body, and you can just take a quick glance down. Not everybody's arm looks like mine, but starting point. And we'll just transition that. This is all just flatten here. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at what's going on this side, and I can see, looks like we do have a little bit of a roundness, although, yeah, that's probably okay. And by probably okay, I mean, you know, for a starting point. But I do have what looks like a recessed area back here. And what you may notice here is what have I not done? I have not added the veins. You know, I haven't really earned that stuff yet. We haven't gotten to that point. It's not going to be too much longer. And once I do add it in, it's going to be just a, you know, the damn standard, and then probably just a little bit of flatten brush. But we've still got a bit of the underlying structure to add in here. So I'm going to look at this, whatever that muscle is. And I feel like it probably pokes up too far over there. Really seems to kind of be happening like right in here. So we'll just carve it in a bit there. And then there's another sort of, so the thumb tendon is going to come up here through this area, so I'll add a little bit of something there with damn standard. Do we see tendon here? No. So we're not going to bring it all the way down, but there's definitely some structure here. Grab the flatten 404. clean this up a little bit, and we're about to end this video, and we'll just pick this up in the next one.